What is going on, everyone? This is Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital, coming at you with yet another market recap video. I'm also the director of research at LeDuc Trading. Shout out to LeDuc Trading. It is December 9th, 2020. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. A few of you reached out to me yesterday and you were like, first of all, your music is way too loud. Second of all, we can't even see your charts because your face is covering them. So I appreciate, the feedback from my YouTube fam, from my Twitter fam, super easy adjustments, and this is so much better. So today we're going to be talking about the price action, the indices, the volatility, and what changed today. And we're going to go under the hood, check out some of the sectors and style factors, the trades that I took, and then we will wrap up some options order flow. But before we jump in, quick risk disclaimer: nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan. And last but not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. So with that being said, let's jump right in. Today was a big change. The last few weeks of these market recap videos, every day it's pretty much been the same story where, the trend is up, stick with the trend. Volatility is, declining every single day. So just watch your risk and you'll be fine. Today there were, some interesting things that came up. We did have a bit of a sell-off, intraday. And let's just jump right into it. So we'll pull up the S&P 500 right here. And so you can see, today was our first day in a while closing below the 5-day exponential moving average. And, I love the 5-day EMA. It's, a very fast moving average, and it really just gives me an idea as to, on the shortest time frame, how is this market trending? Of course, we still are above the monthly value area, which is positive, and it means that in a longer term, we are still trending up. But that is one key difference today. We did have a pretty big sell-off, and this is essentially a bearish engulfing candle, that took out the price action really of the past 4 trading days. So whenever you have a candle that takes out a couple of the prior trading days, that is significant, because I know, even myself, and I know a lot of other people, people were buying here, people were buying here, people were buying here, and people were buying here. So that essentially means you have a lot of traders and investors that are now underwater on their positions. And then as you go even lower, not saying we are going lower, but if we do, suddenly you have a lot of underwater traders and investors that might start puking up their positions depending on what their time frame is. So this is definitely a bit of a character change. I was watching like a hawk the hourly chart. I posted this a little bit earlier on Twitter, but whenever we get these sell-off days and things look, very precarious, I tend to go to my hourly chart and I want to look at my hourly levels. This is the weekly value area, and so you can, we are flying high here at 37.14 for the S&P 500. We jumped pretty much right into that weekly value area, and we even took out the weekly point of control at 3666. This was super interesting. I ended up putting a hedging trade on. I had already put on a calendar spread in SPY as a hedge, and my calendar spread, it's in SPY. It is targeting the 350 strike. And, I've walked through that a couple times in these videos, but that calendar spread, came in handy today. And if we end up, trading even lower, that calendar spread should pay out. And at the very least, if we trend kind of like sideways, I sold the December 350 strike put against my February put, so that December, SPY put is going to decay. But this was very much one of those days where, it was a pretty abrupt sell-off. Started, this is at 10 o'clock, and you can see the pickup in volume, throughout the day. Like, look at that compared to the prior days. It's a big move up in volume. And here, throughout the latter part of the day, it was like, are we going to completely break down and target 36.39? Are we going to, start melting up? And you can see the buyers were able to take control, towards the end of the day. But within like the last 5 minutes or so, we did sell off. So this was just super interesting price action, kind of confusing to be honest. Like in the moment, you can see on this 5-minute chart, we were just trending lower throughout the whole day. And then from about, 1 o'clock or really like the afternoon session on, we just sort of trended sideways. So I'm definitely going to be watching this very closely. The additional SPY put, that I put on the books, that one is going to have a very tight leash because this looks like, it could very well be some bottoming price action. And this could just be people loading up on longs. And, we could just shoot right up back higher or really just go sideways during the OPEX chop. So for that reason, I do have my SPY put that I added today on a pretty tight leash. Let's go through, the big loser today. So, box scores, we had SPY down 0.9%. We had the Qs down 2.26%. IWM, the small caps, down 0.73%. And we had the Dow Jones outperforming the small caps for, at least one day, down 0.44%. I guess nobody owned the Dow Jones, so, less selling in that one. Let's take a look. We'll pull up the Qs. And we're going to zoom out to the daily chart. So yeah, this is a pretty intense bearish engulfing here. So you can see we took out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of price action in one fell swoop. And then it looks like we filled the gap, right here. But that's the crazy part, about the financial markets where, you can have 5 or 6 days where it's like, oh man, I'm FOMOing. Like I want to get into, more equities. And then just in a flash, like, oh man, like all those gains are erased. And then suddenly you're backpedaling, trying to figure out what to do. But the Qs are still, well above the monthly value area high. But they are now as well trading below that 5-day exponential moving average. Let's see IWM. The interesting thing is that IWM is still outperforming. So you can see IWM actually closed above the 5-day EMA. And then the Dow Jones. Right here, Dow Jones is just kind of going sideways at this monthly value area high at around $300 for this ETF. So let's take a look. We'll go a level deeper and we'll take a look at the sectors and style factors. So let's take a look here. We have, these are all ranked in terms of momentum as always. We have energy, the ARC Genomics Fund, and regional banks that are at the top of the list in terms of momentum. You can see energy actually managed to close positive, up 0.22%. KRE, the regional banks, also closed positive, 0.39%. With the ARC Genomics Fund, that one has had, a monumental run here, seeing some profit taking in that one, down 3.04%. Let's take a look real quick at ARC Genomics. And this is why with these ARC funds, I love to just add to these on corrections, but I try not to FOMO into them. So let's see here, not even too bearish, closed above the 5-day EMA. And you can see this one has had sort of a parabolic run. So yeah, nothing too bearish about that one yet, to be honest. So towards the bottom of the list in terms of momentum, we have the medical devices down 0.59%. We have the utilities down 0.18%, and the gold miners, which just can't seem to catch a bid, down 2.61%. But when I look at, just the broader list in terms of what really took a hit today, I can see cannabis, whereas YOLO ETF down 3.23%. So that one took, a pretty sizable hit here. And I do still have my YOLO calls for the May expiration. They're like 11, I believe they're either 11 or 12 strike calls. I timestamped those on Twitter. But yeah, for me, those are so deep in the money that I'm actually looking at this pullback and I'm like, this is a great spot to buy on the dip. Like, I would love to get a pullback to this monthly value area high at around 15.53. That would be perfect. But yeah, this did close below the 5-day exponential moving average. So that is something that you have to be cognizant of. And you can see here, for everyone that was FOMOing into, cannabis stocks at the top, you can see, now you have, we'll call this like half of the people that bought here. 1 candle, 2 candles, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of price action, about 7.5 where they're completely underwater. So this is where things get very interesting. Whoever bought here, you need buyers to come in tomorrow and sort of bail you out of your position. And then you can have some people who sort of have buyer's remorse. And, even if buyers come in, they go, oh man, let me just dump my position at break even. Like, I shouldn't have done that. So it really alters the psychology of everything that's going on when you get one of these big bearish engulfing candles. Oh my gosh, and solar stocks. So pretty much this was, some profit taking in all the areas that have really crushed it this year. So look at this. Yeah, solar stocks, perfect check back to that monthly value area. And you can see we closed within the monthly value area. Looks like we're like a hair inside. But yeah, we touched that 20-day SMA and we closed below the 5-day EMA. So this one, I love this trend in solar stocks. And I think there's going to be a huge tailwind for solar stocks and really clean energy as this Biden administration kicks off in January. So this is, a space where I love to buy on the weakness. The only thing is, there really hasn't been that much weakness yet. Like, we're just checking back into the monthly value area. So this is one that I certainly want to, keep watching, and we'll see what happens. But you can see here, we made a high at around $87.85. And then we made a lower high at around $84. So I'm actually going to draw some trend lines here. Yeah, let's see if this works. Yeah, so I'm just going to draw these super loose. What I like to do sometimes is I'll just put the trend lines on, really like even before the trend has started. Like the first time I see a lower high, sometimes I'll be like, let me just throw some trend lines on just in case that trend actually starts to form. Let's see. So we'll go from like right here. Yeah, this is pretty crude. I'm definitely going to redo this later, but yeah, this is just, if this starts, going into a downtrend, I definitely want to be cognizant of that. If I ever got the opportunity to buy at this value area low, most likely, I would, because I do believe in this trend in solar stocks. I do believe it has more to run. But that is interesting where a lot of the style factors and sectors that have performed really well, that's where we saw the biggest selling. So that to me seems more like, something I should be concerned about, because that's pretty much saying like, oh, there's some legit profit taking going on. So definitely, that's why I'm saying like today could have been a change in character, because we all know pretty much everyone is long this market. And nobody thinks that it can go down. So that can be where you get a little bit of a pullback or a little bit of a correction. In terms of these style factors, yeah, again, we had momentum performing the worst, down 2.45%. We had growth down 1.72%. And at the top of this list in terms of momentum, we had high beta only down 0.26% and cyclicals only down 0.16%. So this really was a sell-off in growth and momentum stocks. Now let's take a look at some of the trades that I took today and some things that I'm watching. So we have this plug trade that I've been in for about a couple days. I believe I entered last Friday. I shared it with you guys on the recap video. I'm in a butterfly 4 plug, and I was targeting the monthly value area high here at around 27.5. I entered, I believe, on this candle, and we just blew through that monthly value area right here. And this is perfect that we got the pullback. I was actually concerned that what happens if we get another huge green candle, then we're going to be out of my profit zone. So for my trade, it expires on December 18th. It's advantageous for me if plug really just kind of floats around here and doesn't do all that much. So I'm going to keep watching plug. Another one, DraftKings, that I traded today. And this one, I will say, I was kind of sloppy trading this. Like, I pride myself on, in terms of my technique, like, it's not like I win every trade. My win rate is about like 55 to 60%. I don't mind losing trades at all if I'm sort of executing the way that I know I'm able to. DK&G, I definitely was a bit sloppy here today. So yesterday I put on some 50 strike calls, and I actually timed that very well. I got in sort of like on the lower end of this candle, and we basically hit my short-term target. So today on this gap down, I exited for about a 15% profit. Then we ended up getting that headline saying, New York State might legalize sports betting, and we had this, monster run up. And, this ended up being a FOMO run and sort of rug pulled, but I ended up re-entering calls. I entered some February, I believe I entered the 55 strike calls for February. And this ended up being, a complete rug pull. And, those 55 strikes, took a bit of a hit. So that's something I was definitely frustrated with today. But then again, those calls, they do have until February, and long term, I am very bullish on DraftKings stock. But I definitely hold myself to pretty high standards in terms of my trading, and that one was definitely, not the best entry. So like in hindsight, a lot of people that were long DraftKings, I'm assuming that news must have already been in the price, and they actually took that opportunity to sell their DraftKings off. So definitely interesting, and I'm still holding those February calls, so we'll see what happens with those. Then we have Baidu. Baidu is showing incredible strength this morning. I entered some calls in Baidu as well, and this one still looks good to me. As you can see, take a look at this. So, we had the breakout above the monthly value area, and if you zoom out to the weekly chart, now look at this. This is pretty interesting. So you can see Baidu stock actually peaked at around $285 a share, and you can see it was in a pretty significant downtrend, bottom during the COVID crash, and ever since then it has been trending up. So a bit of a trend reversal here, where this is actually the yearly value area, and you can see we jumped into that yearly value area, and now we are trading firmly above the yearly point of control. So for this trade, I'm targeting, at minimum around this 160 level, and we'll see where it goes from there. But this one, I'm pretty bullish on this one, so we'll see what happens. Of course, if the market just decides to completely spill from here, we'll see what happens. But I entered, I believe I got the January 155 strike calls. So let's take a look. Chewie was another one that I traded today. Chewie is one of my favorite long-term companies, and I do hold some common stock in Chewie, but I love trading around my position. And Chewie had, in my opinion, a good earnings call, but they gapped down, pretty significantly and were pretty weak early in the day. So what I did was I sold the 70 strike December 18th calls, or sold the 70 strike December 18th puts. I collected about 90 cents for those, and within an hour, Chewie was trading towards the high of the day, and I actually closed those out for about 30 cents. So that was a pretty quick scalp trade on my end. Just collected a couple bucks, and really just kept it moving. I'm glad that I did for this one because, Chewie ended up putting in sort of like a hanging man doji candle, and did not close anywhere near the high. So I'm going to keep watching Chewie. And then Airbnb IPOs tomorrow. So I'm definitely going to be watching that. I likely will participate in this IPO, assuming that Airbnb doesn't open at, some ridiculous premium. Like I saw this company today, AI, and the IPO opened up like plus 100%. So just absolutely ridiculous. I likely won't participate if that happens with Airbnb, but we will just have to see. Yeah, I think this is the AI stock. Pretty interesting. So last but not least, let's take a look at some of the options flow for today. And one of the things that I like to do is whenever we get one of these, little like mini flash crash sell-offs, I always like to check out, does everyone start loading the boat on puts now, or are they just buying the dip via calls? And if you look, we had been getting pretty ridiculous with the call flow. And I believe yesterday it was like 85% calls, 15% puts. You can see that today there were some more puts purchased at around 57% puts, 43% calls. Wait, but this is just for the large flow. Let's actually take a look at everything. Let's see. Oh my gosh, across everything it was still super complacent. 87% call flow, 13% put flow. So yeah, in terms of, what's going on in this market, everyone is pretty much, not really taking this dip seriously at all. And that could definitely say, tomorrow we're just going to ramp up. But it also leaves a lot of people in a situation where they can be caught wrong-footed. So if we get another, big red candle, there's going to be a lot of players that have to puke. So that's something I am cognizant of. But let's see, we'll go back to the 1 million and above, and we'll see what people are buying today. Okay, so we got the Tesla call buyers, as always, coming out in full force. It is so funny. Tesla, announces they're doing a stock offering, and people are still going for these calls. But I guess, so long as it keeps working, they're just going to keep doing it. So, hats off to these guys that are just sticking with Tesla. Let's see what it did today. Pretty sure it had a nasty red candle. Let's see. Yeah, down almost 7%. So let's see. A lot of these guys, oh my gosh, they're super short term as well. Like this is for December 18th, January, or December. So it's pretty funny. Like, just as everybody was starting to get like super short term in their Tesla calls, that's when we get sort of like this mini rug pull. We have some activity in Uber, which I find pretty interesting. And it's for January of 2022. So these are leaps. Let's take a look at Uber. Okay, so yeah, Uber actually closed positive in this super weak market today. So that definitely is interesting. And if we do get some more turbulence in the market, this could be something I go for. Let's see, Apple, we had some puts. This one, QS. QS had another ridiculous day. Oh my gosh. Wow, plus 30%. What does this one even do? Engages in the development and commercialization of solid-state lithium metal batteries. Oh, okay, this one again. So more of like this EV theme, which continues to be hot. Let's see what NIO is doing. NIO doing nothing. This is another one of those like high momentum names that's sort of puking. And you can see a lot of these names are trading based off of their factor exposures, not necessarily the company themselves. So I notice a lot of people sort of get this wrong. It's like a heuristic where, if their NIO stock is going up, it's like, yes, I picked the right stock. But a lot of times it's really like which factor exposure your stock, falls under. And a lot of times people are just trading these factor exposures as baskets, and NIO might be in like the high growth, high momentum basket. Same with Tesla. So a lot of these names end up trading together. But yeah, awesome candle for QS. I won't be chasing it up here. But definitely crazy candle. Plug, the one that I'm watching, we have some call activity in that one as well. And that's about it for our options flow. And that about does it for this market recap video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a great trading day tomorrow. And I will see you tomorrow night for another market recap video.